Coppage here with another episode of BizTech Twists. I'm the CEO of Simplex-IT, crotchety old geek, and I want to talk about the new IT. So, some of you may have heard me speak about in the past how I said that there was noise on my computer, but how I've said that there's actually been changes that have gone on because back in the day, because I am old, for those of you who don't know, information technology was mostly about the technology, was mostly about developing the new, development of all of the CPUs, of Moore's law, as far as all of the increase of number of transistors per square inch and the like. But it was all about the gadgets. It was all about the blinking lights, about the transmission speed, about the hard drives, the floppy drives, the SSD drives, the internet, the this, that, or the other thing. But it was all about the technology. So I often refer to it as a lowercase I and a capital T. Okay, but after a while, we basically got to the point where we had automated all the stuff we were doing manual prior. Because remember, most of the IT stuff originally, most of the applications, they started out with actually artillery tables, as well as life insurance calculations to figure out, lifespans of people and all that kind of fun stuff. Then they moved over to payroll systems, accounts payable, receivable, fixed assets, general ledgers, inventory, traditional stuff that up till then was nothing new. It was just done by people beforehand. Then we started doing stuff differently. We started actually moving into doing things we couldn't do because we didn't have the technology. And we started doing things with information. We started asking questions about the data. We started getting what-if reports, being able to run all sorts of things that was still dependent upon the technology. So it was rudimentary. But we started doing a combination where the new stuff was I and T. That's where we started having MRP, MRP2 on the manufacturing side, ERP systems, CRM systems. We really just went to hell and back as far as TLAs, three-letter acronyms, because those cost more. So we started really developing a lot more use of the information through new and advanced technology. But then something happened beyond that. And that was where we've been at for a while. And that was where the information was really driving it. Facebook, LinkedIn, a ton of applications are really driven by the data, and the data being converted into useful information. And so for the last 10 years or so, we've been mostly capital I, lowercase t. So information technology. Sure, there's been advances in the technology as well, but usually in ways that have to do with gathering or using the data. But has something else been happening? This is something that occurred to me about a month or so ago. As I was at a conference, and I was always saying, one thing about IT, we love to tell you this stuff's revolutionary. We love it because it just sounds like we're cool. And we're not, by the way. At least most of us aren't. But we love to talk about how the latest thing is going to revolutionize this, that, or the other. And so the PC was revolutionary. The mainframe was revolutionary. The mini computer was revolutionary. Paper tape was revolutionary. Magnetic storage, magnetic tape, hard drives, soft drives, removable drives, PCs, client servers, N-tier, whatever. Everything has been revolutionary. And they all have been. But they've been revolutionary about the same stuff. They've been revolutionary in the same way. A network today is the same as a network was 20 or 30 years ago, more sophisticated, more complicated, but you still have packets of information being sent from one device to another that is used by someone who serves purposes or the like. It may go through cloud, it may go through on-prem, maybe virtual, whatever. But roughly speaking, IT as a profession is still, roughly speaking, the same, but further along the path. Until recently. And what I mean by that is there are three things that have been revolutionary to the IT business, but they're truly different than what we knew beforehand. If you think about IT from the standpoint of what are the three biggest changes that have come across our industry over the past 10 years or so, I would say that number one is big data. So big data is really where we have monster. We're talking Amazon, we're talking Netflix, so on and so forth, and the type of decisions that we can make based on those. I would say the second one is cybersecurity. And that's both from an offensive and a defensive standpoint. All of the things that are going on. And these are, we have to be aware of them. And then the third, the newer one, is AI. Those are three, I would posit, those are the three biggest changes that have come to IT. And when I say that, you notice they came to IT, meaning that organizations are expecting IT to support these things. And here's the challenge, and this is why I'm bringing this up as a topic. None of these are normal extensions of traditional IT skills. Someone who cut their teeth on knowing how to work servers, knowing how to work desktops, workstations, even laptops, mobile phones, any of those kind of things, knows how big data works. They don't necessarily know how to optimize queries, how to do heterogeneous data, any of the kind of things that are needed in the big data world. Similarly, that person doesn't necessarily know how to really be, they know how to connect all the devices, but do they know how to protect all the devices and to do so in such a way that the organization can still get their jobs done, but do so securely and in such a way so that they can adapt to the constantly and ever-changing threat landscape. Heck, even let's look at it from the bad guy standpoint. The tools that they're using and the strategies and the tactics and the marketing that they're using to actually create these attacks are very different from the I wrote me a virus. And then finally, AI. AI has nothing to do with any of that. But it truly is an extension of IT in the sense that it's a technique that uses IT resources. So why am I bringing this up? Because many organizations automatically assume that our IT resources are capable of expanding to take care of whatever the new thing is. I mean, who was it that handled the work from anywhere? IT. Who was it that came up with that strategy for how we're going to migrate to the cloud? IT. Now, it may not have been the same people, but it was people with the same experiences. And just instead of using on-prem, they used remote. Instead of using on-prem hardware, they use virtual or cloud hardware. But now ask these people how to create significant data stores or data warehousing or BI tools. Totally different learning curve, totally different skill sets, totally different metrics in terms of KPIs when you talk about what that person is contributing to your organization. And the same thing from a cybersecurity standpoint and the same thing from an AI standpoint. But here's the fun part. They don't necessarily know this because we're IT people. We can handle anything that's on a computer, right? So a lot of us are looking at this as, okay, well, I'll just watch a couple of YouTube videos, or I'll go to a conference, or I'll go read a book, or I'll go install a trial version at home, or I'll do whatever. And often that is sufficient, especially if we're talking about the small or medium business, small or medium organizations. That is sufficient because you're just learning a new way to do things. Oh, it's a server. It's just a server in a cloud. Or it's a service, but it's the same types of service as I was doing with servers. It's still a synchronization of data. It's just happening, blah, 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 so on and so forth. But when we start talking about data, we start talking about cybersecurity, when we start talking about AI, it's not simply an extension of what we've been doing. And I think organizations are running into problems with this because how many organizations have these huge data sets because they've got ERP systems that have been running for, in some cases, decades. Or they've got the ability to work with their vendors or with their clients to integrate, but nobody knows how. Or we don't have somebody who can actually take a database and actually build queries out of it or reports because they don't know the right questions to ask data. And data is all about asking questions. And if you're expecting your IT group just to pick this up, you're selling them short, and you also may be setting them up for failure. Okay, fine. So you bring in the outside consultants. Well, if the outside consultant isn't really integrated with your organization, do they know what you do? Can they bring your IT people involved enough so they've got enough of an idea because they're going to have to manage and maintain the infrastructure necessary to help you with this. And the same thing from a security standpoint, and the same thing for an AI. And AI is just getting started. So what's the call to action here? Well, the call to action is take this seriously. Is first of all, take a look at the resources right now. The more data you have, whether you own it or that you have access to, the more possibilities you have to really add some additional intelligence to your organization and better ideas of what to do next, how to make sure that you're as profitable as you need to be, how to make sure your clients are taking advantage of you the most effective way, and that you're managing and maintaining your costs and keeping an eye on your competition. And I could go on, and I have, and I'm doing that now. Anyway. But how do you know, unless you take an inventory of both what your opportunities are, what resources you currently have, and then ask the right people to be part of that conversation that talks about what can we do with this? And your current IT people may not be the right people to lead that discussion, although you do want them to be part of it. You need to find somebody who is willing to bring you along on this journey. And you also need to define some resources in your organization that are going to have to learn some of this stuff. And it may be your IT, it may not. It may be somebody else within your organization. Because if you just simply rely on outside resources, that's abdication. Unless those outside resources are going to be part of your organization for a period of time. But you have the opportunity now to actually properly measure, manage, and implement these three resources: big data, cybersecurity, and AI. Because you're using all three of these, whether you know it or not. Or are they using you? Interesting question. So, let me know in the comments below, or have your AI do it for you, or they already have. And here's the thing. You need to subscribe to this because you let your National Geographic subscription lapse. You probably don't even subscribe to Mad Magazine anymore because it doesn't exist, which really stinks. I like Mad Magazine. So and that's somebody calling me now to make sure that we do this. So call me now, or check, subscribe, comment, and welcome our AI overlords. Bob Coppage, Crotchy Old Geek, BizTech Twists. Catch you later.